Okay guys, this is going to be my review of the Gen 4 Glock 19. I'm going to give you a lot of good close-up shots for those of you that may be thinking about buying this handgun and stumbled upon this video. And I'm going to show you everything that comes with this gun when you purchase it from the store. I'm also going to compare this Gen 4 with a third generation Glock and show you some of the differences that were made internally with the gun. Alright, so let's get started here. Okay, now, as most of you probably already know, the Gen 4 guns come with 3 magazines. So there'll be one in the gun, 2 on the side over here, and you also get this little plastic package with the different back straps. You get 2 back straps, medium and a large, that have a beaver tail-like design on them. Okay, so when you're shooting, it'll go over the web of your hand. And you also get a medium and large back strap to put on the gun. Now, the Glock itself, when you buy it, comes like this, without a back strap on it. And this would be considered the small size grip, okay, without anything on there. Also, as you'll notice, the pin that holds in the trigger housing right here is a pretty short pin. So if you do put on a back strap, common sense would tell you that you need a longer pin. That also comes with the gun. Basically right here on this plastic piece, you take out these back straps and you can use this to push the pin out. Now this is pretty flimsy. It can break pretty easily, so don't try to replace your Glock tool with this. And as you'll see right here, there's a little groove here and a groove channel right there. And this is the longer pin. So when you put on the back straps, any of these 4, this is the pin that you'll use that'll fit flush and hold these on the gun. Okay, so here it is, and I'll also put a back strap or 2 on for you and let you see what that looks like. Get this box out of the way here. Okay, so here's the Gen 4 Glock 19 as it comes from the factory. Okay, now I'm going to go over some of the differences that they've made in the Gen 4 Glocks. One of them is the magazine release, and I will also compare that to another Glock. First of all, I'm going to show you too that before I start messing with this, that it is unloaded. Guns were checked before I turned on the camera. Okay. Now, this is a Gen 3 G17, but it's still going to give you an idea when I compare them. Now notice the mag release on these 2 guns and the difference in them. This mag release gives you much more real estate to get your magazine out, and I'm sure could at times make it faster to do reloads if you're going for speed. Okay, now I will break this one down. And I'm going to show you some of the differences, and one of the differences I don't like, and I'll talk to you about that. Number 1 is, well, I have to take down this Glock also as well to show you, to compare, so you have something to go by. Most of you probably know what the ejector looks like on a Gen 3 Glock. So here's the ejector for the 9mm on a Gen 3 Glock, and what that looks like. It's this piece right here. You can see it's curved inward. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not bent or broken. And I'll show it to you from this side. There's the way that looks on the Gen 3. Now, take a look at the Gen 4 ejector. Looks quite a bit different, doesn't it? Looks kind of squared off in the front instead of going to a point. It almost looks like somebody took pliers and twisted it as well. And I know this is one of the changes that occurred because of some of the problems that they were having with the Gen 4 Glock 19s. See there how it's almost just looks like somebody took a pair of pliers and just gripped on it and twisted it. But this is the way that the ejector is supposed to look. You can verify that by pictures on Google and try to give you a little side-by-side comparison there. Both 9mm, and look at the difference in the ejector. Okay, another thing that they did, this is a change that I don't like. See this bump on the trigger bar here? Now this is the part of the trigger bar that pushes up on the striker safety to move that out of the way so you can fire the gun. They put that bump there so it rides along the inner part of the frame and keeps this centered on the block for the striker. Now what I don't understand is why they decided to put this bump on there. I've never heard of any problems with any of the other Glocks and all the other generations ever having a problem with this thing not being perfectly centered when it pushes up. What this does is it causes some drag when you pull the trigger, and you can feel it. The trigger's a little heavier. And also when you put the gun back together, when you first start to put the slide on, you feel it grab there, and it feels like the gun's sticking, the slide's sticking for a little bit. And normally Glocks, you just put the slide on and just rip it back. This, you definitely feel it when the slide enters over that piece. So I'm not too fond of that. But I can either buy another trigger bar or I can file that down. There's lots of guys who have done that and they've had no problems. Okay, one of the other differences that there is this recoil spring. I do like this upgrade. As you can see, it's all stainless steel, and it's a two-piece recoil spring. Now, when these Gen 4s first came out and they were having problems, the spring was stamped 04. The updated version that you need for these guns to run as well as they can is stamped 04 and 3 at the 6 o'clock position. This is the newest recoil spring for the Gen 4 Glocks. And as you can see, this has 3 springs. One spring right here, an outer spring, and also an inner spring underneath this big one. So there's 3 springs in this recoil rod and spring set. Another difference is the top of the spring used to ride along polymer. Now it rides along metal. So there is some things that they did and had to go back and correct in these Gen 4 Glocks to get them to run right. Now I really like, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell on film, but the finish to me looks a little different than my other Glocks. I do like the finish that's on the barrel as well as the slide. Just kind of has a different tint to me than the other Glock barrels, and I'm not for sure exactly what the difference is, what they're using to coat them, but to me it does look different, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree, those of you that have experience with Glocks. Alright, now I'm going to put this one back together. Like that recoil spring setup, you no longer... So basically, you're paying, I believe this gun was $30 more than a Gen 3. Before that $30, you're getting an extra magazine for a total of 3, and you're getting a stainless steel upgraded recoil spring assembly. Oh, and just for comparison, here's the Gen 3 9mm recoil spring. It was just a spring over polymer with polymer ends. Okay, now take notice when I put this slide back on, you probably will be able to notice when it hits this bump, because it's going to drag a little bit See right there, I can feel it. Everything's smooth right here, going in, and now I feel it right there. Sticks, and then comes back. So there is some drag on that, and there is some drag a little bit when you pull the trigger. Now notice how in the Gen 3 Glock, how easy this slide's going to zip on. See that? See this piece here? This is what I was talking about. So I'll show you this for a comparison. There is no bump. It's smooth. Right there. Now, check this out. Get it started. Okay, see that? Moves freely. Okay? There was no hindrance whatsoever, like I had with this one. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of wondering, that has me kind of wondering what made Glock have to feel the need to put that little bump on that trigger bar there. I mean, overall, I'm pretty impressed with this. I'm going to give you some close-up shots here. I'm going to go through that kind of quick because I want to put on a couple of back straps and show you what that looks like. I also like how they stamped the Gen 4 right there. I think that's kind of a nice little touch. Nice stippling, feels really good in the hand. Like I said, nice oversized mag release. Bumps on the front check ring are a little bit different, as well as the back. And there it is. I'll show you the top. Okay, now what I'm going to do is get a one of these back straps out, and it's also going to show you how to change them out if you need to, and I'll show you, how to get the pen out and stuff with this thing that comes with it. But like I said, I don't know how long this will last. It's kind of flimsy, so I wouldn't rely on this little thing that comes with it, but it'll get you by if you don't have the Glock tool, or a 3/30 seconds punch, I should say. So you're going to remove this pin, and then you can also put this back in the channel of this. You're going to take this one out here that comes with it and get this ready. And let's see here. Let's go with the large with the beaver tail on it. Just kind of clicks up in the bottom. See, it has a couple teeth there, and there it's grooved right in there. A couple there that allow it to lock in like this. And what I'm going to do is get this pin started on this side. Now I have that one installed. This is the large, and I'll let you guys see what that looks like. As for me, I don't know if I'm too fond of this yet. It seems to push down a little lower than I would normally hold, and I could still be higher and at a safe distance from getting slide bite if this wasn't on there, and I just don't know if it's for me. It makes my hand on the grip have a different position, and my little finger's only halfway on. So I don't think that this is a strap that I would use. Now, if you have smaller hands or something, or maybe you just hold a little differently, it might be something that you want to look into. Now I'm going to take this off, and I'll put on the large standard back strap. Okay, here's the Gen 4 Glock 19 with the large back strap. This one seems to be pretty good for me. Seems to fit me pretty well. Gives me a little bit more width on the grip. Allows me to get what feels to me like a more correct hand grip. This kind of feels to me similar to the way an HK feels in my hand, with the space that it takes for me to get around this. And I've always been comfortable on HK handgun grips. Now the angles are different, of course, but it just kind of, to me, resembles the way I would hold a H&K. And I like it like that. Always use a thumbs forward grip like this if you can. Now guys, when you go to shoot, put the web of your hand up close to the back of the gun and tight. Thumbs forward like this. And that's the proper shooting grip. As you can see, it still has a standard sight picture. Goalpost with the white dot. Need to change that into something a little bit better. But there it is, guys. I think it's a really nice gun. A lot of upgrades and changes have been made to this. I really wouldn't worry about reliability, but we'll test that when I go shooting, and we'll see how that holds out. But those problems of the past have been worked on a lot by Glock. One more thing I wanted to show you before I go. G19 wouldn't be complete without one of these. 33 rounds of goodness. These magazines are endorsed and recommended by Senator Dianne Feinstein. Alright guys, until next time, this is H4T, and I am out.